بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه وصلوات الله وسلامه على نبينا الأمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وعلى من تمسك بسنته بإحسان إلى يوم الدين ثم أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله سبحانه وتعالى وخير الهدى هدى نبينا محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. We thank Allah Azza wa Jalla for this opportunity to come once again to meet one another in His cause and for His sake. And then we want to thank the brothers at the Nasiha Foundation for putting together this program that gave us this opportunity by Allah's permission. I just got here and I was writing down some notes, some of my comments that I'm going to make to these brothers from my observations, inshallah, so that in their ongoing efforts they will continue to work towards those things that I perceive as being good points and highlights of their program, and also that they would change, as perfection is only with Allah, that they would change those things that I perceive as being negative aspects of the program. One of the positive things that I've witnessed is the fact that they started off with the recitation of the Quran, and it's only appropriate to start off with the recitation of the Quran, especially in light of the theme, who is your Lord. The slave who wants to come to know who Allah is, who His Lord is, there's no better way of doing that than getting to know Allah through the Quran, which is the actual speech of Allah. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, as our brother Shafiq started out the program by reciting aspects of Khutbat al-Hajah. That's what he used to say whenever he wanted to give the khutbah sermon, the Eid sermon, if he wanted to give a lecture, an exhortation. Part of what he said was the best speech is the speech of Allah. So if the brother would have continued to read from aspects of the Quran as Muslims sitting there, if you found yourself squirming in the chair or being bored, then that's a problem. That's a problem. Because the best way to learn about Allah is not through the madhab, is not through the kalam or the speech that we have between ourselves. You can learn about Allah through the madhab and through the speech and the reminders, like what you're going to have in today's sessions, inshallah. But the best way that the slave can come to know his Lord is by turning to the book of Allah and getting to know it on an intimate basis. So the condition of the vast majority of the people, except those people who Allah Ta'ala gave them His tawfiq, will be the statement of the Prophet ﷺ that was made in the Quran, وَقَرَّ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَحْجُورًا. The Messenger of Allah will come Yawm al-Qiyamah and he's going to complain and he's going to say, "Oh Allah, oh my Lord, my people have abandoned the Quran. They don't read the Quran. They don't memorize the Quran. They don't come to know who I am through the Quran. They don't come to know about their religion through the Quran. They prefer to hear the anashid. They prefer to listen to music. They prefer to watch TV. They prefer to make ghiba and namima. They prefer to speak about the religion without knowledge." So that's one of the highlights. If we didn't receive anything other than that, we heard the kalam of Allah being recited, and in addition to that, we heard it being translated to the best of the ability of what the English language can render. In an authentic hadith that's been collected by the Imam al-Tirmidhi and the authority of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, the Prophet told us, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, مَا نَهَيْتُكُمْ مَنْهُ فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ وَمَا أَمَرْتُكُمْ بِهِ فَأْتُوا مِنْهُ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. He said, whatever I have prohibited you people from doing, then leave it altogether. And whatever I have commanded you to do, ordered you to do, then do as much of it as you possibly can do. This hadith is going to serve as the basis and the backdrop, the background of my discussion here with you here today. The importance of choosing friends and companions in order to come to know Allah. One of the vehicles that a person can come to know Allah is by the company that he keeps and the companions that he has. This hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu is from the Jawami' al-Kalam. Something that Rasulullah was given that no one else was given is the ability to say something that had few words, but the statement carried far-reaching implications and meanings and benefits. What I prohibited you from doing, leave it all alone. Abandon everything from it. And what I commanded you to do, do as much of it as possible. One of the principles and benefits that this hadith renders into us in our deen and our dunya is that in Islam, the things that Allah Ta'ala and the things that the Prophet ﷺ made haram, we have to leave it all alone. Everything, every aspect of it, everything, without any exception, everything. And the things that they commanded us to do, we do as much of it as possible. We do as much of it as possible. And that's because leaving things alone and abandoning things, they're easier than actually doing things. So the things that we've been commanded to do are many. You have to pray salat, you have to do qiyam al-layl, you have to read the Quran, you have to memorize the Quran, you have to attend the lecture, you have to be good to your parents, you have to visit your relatives, you have to give da'wah ila Allah, you have to help the poor, you have to make umrah, you have to make hajj, you have to go to work, you have to do so many things. So many things. You only can do but so many. So you do as much of it as time will allow. You do as much as you are humanly capable of doing. You do as much that your ability allows you to do. Whereas when it comes to abandoning things that have been made haram, you have to leave everything alone in the religion. If I were to say to you, brothers, for an example, you have been commanded in this religion to go to this equipment over there and to pack it up and to bring it to the van and to drive it away. You have to do that. You have to do that. It becomes difficult. You may get to the equipment, you find that it's heavier than you thought it was. It may not fit through the door. You have to get up, you have to walk over there. You may trip on your way. There are a lot of things that can happen. It requires more energy, more effort to do anything. But if you were commanded in the religion, don't go close to that equipment. All you have to do is sit there. You don't have to do anything. The equipment is haram. All you have to do is sit there. It doesn't require anything. So to do things in the religion, the ibadat of al-Islam, to make umrah, to make hajj, to fast, they require some effort. Qiyamul layl, visiting your relatives, having sabr, giving da'wah Allah, it requires some effort. Do as much as you are humanly possible and what time allows you to do. And don't go overboard. But in regards to what's haram, stay away from everything that's haram. Don't drink pork. Don't drink khamr, sharab. Don't eat pork. Don't cut your beard. This is an example. I'm not messing with anyone. I'm not picking on anyone. You've been commanded to leave your beard. It's easy. Something you should do, but it requires some effort. But the effort is just not to do anything. So the things to do require some effort. Things that are haram, they don't require that much effort. This issue that we're going to remind you about today, inshallah, is an issue that we've been commanded to do. And that is to evaluate and to consider who you have taken as a friend and a companion. And not doing this is going to harm you sooner or later. In most instances, it's going to harm you sooner before later. I'm sure there are people here who have been stabbed in the back by the friend. There are people here who have been handed over by the friend. He's been let down by the friend, the last person who he thought would have stabbed him in the back. One of the reasons for that is you didn't evaluate, you didn't consider who your friend was. You took it as just an issue that is natural, and it's not natural in the religion. Al-Islam, the Quran, the Sunnah, the way of the companions, the righteous predecessors of this ummah, they used to take time out to consider and to evaluate, who do I take as my companion? And then if a man realized that this individual brings me more harm than benefit, he would make this person
not a companion, not a friend, but an acquaintance, an associate, someone who I'll give him his haqq of Salaamu Alaikum, wa alaikum salam. You had a new baby, Barakallah fikum. He died, you make the salat of the janazah. But the friend, the one who you go with and you come with, you let him in your house, you go to his house, you take him as a bosom buddy, you don't qualify. You don't reach the criterion of what Al-Islam has set for me to allow you to be my friend. Umar radiallahu anhu, ikhwani, he was in the presence of a man who said to Umar about his friend and about another man, what a good man he is, ya Amirul Mu'mineen. He's a good friend of mine and he's a tremendously beneficial friend. Umar said, do you know this man? He said, yes, I know him very well. Umar asked the man, Umar, not the hadith, Umar. Rasulullah didn't say this, Umar radiallahu anhu. Umar said, did you travel with him? He said, no. Did you do business with him? He said, no. Did you sleep with him? What's the meaning of sleeping with him? You and him went to Hajj and there were 9 mattresses there. There were 9 mattresses and you people were 10. You were 10. He was an individual who said, okay, I'm going to get my mattress, or I'm going to be the one who's going to sleep on the floor. And he gives the mattress to the elder or the one who is his friend or other people. Doesn't mean what may come to the mind of some sick people who may take this statement of Umar radiallahu anhu to imply and to make inferences of what's not from the religion. The man said, no, I didn't sleep with him. He said, did you eat with him? He said, no. He said, then you don't know that man. You don't know him. You don't know him to marry him to your daughter that quickly. You don't know him to go into business with him that quickly. That's when you come to know people. When you travel with them, traveling, it exposes the reality of people because it's hard to continue to pretend who you are while you're traveling. Traveling to Hajj, on that long trip, it exposes the reality of people. Does he listen? Is he a person who is egotistical? Is he self-centered? The people of the trip said, we have to do A, B, C, and we have to do it like this. He says, no, I'm not doing that. I pay my money, I have to do it the other way. You come to know his reality. It's time to eat. There are only 3 sausages. 3 sausages. And it's you and him. He eats 2 and he gives you 1. He's an individual who thinks about himself. He gives you 2 and he eats 1, or 2.5, or all 3. It's an indication of his value. So the point is, Umar radiallahu anhu, ikhwani, in this statement showed us, you don't know people just because he is your acquaintance or your associates or he's been with you for so many years. You have to know the friend when the times become difficult and when you're doing those things that will uncover and disclose the reality of people. So I want to share with you some text from the Quran and from the Sunnah that show the importance of everybody sitting here, man and woman, of evaluating and taking time out to look at who you've taken as your friend. Because in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala mentioned in one of the many ayat that deal with the issue, Al-akhillau yawma'idhin ba'duhum li ba'din aduun illa al-muttaqeen. Alhamdulillah, the brother after reading didn't say Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Although Allah speaks the truth, he spoke the truth in this ayah. He said that the friends Yawmul Qiyamah will come and they'll be enemies one to another, all of them, except the people who have taqwa. So every friend that you have, if that friendship is not predicated and built upon a taqwa, then it's going to cause you sorrow Yawmul Qiyamah. So you have to evaluate. Does your friend give you advice? Does your friend encourage you not to waste time? When it's time for the salat, what does your friend do and what do you do for him? The people of a taqwa, they'll benefit from their friendship. So we need to concentrate on this ayah. All of the friendships, Yawmul Qiyamah, will be a cause of enmity, except those who have a taqwa. Allah doesn't lie. Every friend, that's going to be his reality. Allah Ta'ala mentioned another description of the realities of friends, Yawmul Qiyamah, when he said, يوم يعض الظالم على يديه يقول يا ليتني اتخذت مع الرسول سبيلا يا ويلتى ليتني لم اتخذ فلانا خليلا لَقَدْ ضَلَّنِي عَنَ الذِّكْرِ بَعْدَ إِذْ جَاءَنِي وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِلْإِنسَانِ خَذُّولًا. Yawm al-Qiyamah, the oppressor, and the oppressor can be the Muslim. The oppressor will come and he will bite down on his hands as a result of sorrow. He will be biting on his hands. And he's going to say, oh, woe unto me that I had only taken the way of the messenger. I would have taken his sunnah in everything. I would have taken his sunnah in the burqa, in the niqab. I would have taken his sunnah in praying the sunnah prayers, fasting the sunnah, giving dawah to Allah, memorizing the Quran, all of those issues of the sunnah, and not looking at any aspect as being insignificant. Oh, how I wish I would have taken the way of the Rasul. And woe unto me that I took so-and-so as a friend. Verily, he has caused me to forget the remembrance when it came to me, and verily, shaitan will always forsake mankind. So his friend will come Yawm al-Qiyamah, he will be a shaitan who forsook him. He didn't take care of the friendship. Yawm al-Qiyamah, me and my friend, he's going to say to me, why didn't you do something about what you saw me doing? I was an individual who thought I was better than the other people. If the lady didn't wear hijab, I would say, she's a kafir, he's a kafir, he's a kafir, she's a kafir, and you were my friend. Instead of helping me, you assisted me in going astray like that. You didn't say anything to me. You saw me making ghiba, namima, smoking, drinking, not praying, not doing the things that I was supposed to be doing, and you didn't say anything. On that day, the person is going to say, how I wish I wouldn't have taken this individual as a khalil, as a friend. Look at what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in this regard. This is not a case of Abu Usama coming before you and extracting from the Quran something that is not true. The Prophet said in what was collected by the Imam At-Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah rahimahullah ta'ala on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. قال المرء على دين خليله فلينظر أحدكم من يخالل. Verily the person is on the religion of his companion, his friend. So let each and every one of you consider who he has taken as his friend. The way your friends are, is how you're going to be. That's natural. That's the sunnah of Allah. Allah Ta'ala has a number of sunnahs in this creation. They will never change. They will never change. Never ever change. One of the sunnahs of Allah, if the foundation is strong, what is built upon the foundation is strong. If your Islamic foundations are strong, what is built upon it will be strong. If the foundation is weak, what's built upon it is going to be weak. That is a sunnah of Allah in the deen and the dunya. So the Muslims, many times, they want to forego this sunnah. They want to build the structure without building a foundation. They want to have weak foundations and build a strong structure on the foundation. What are you talking about, Abu Usama? What I'm talking about, for an example, is we all believe that the Khilafah is important in al-Islam. But if the Muslims are the way we are, the people in this room and outside of this room, our relatives and other than that, our wives, our families, mothers and fathers, the way we are, for me to call the Muslims to the establishment of the Khilafah, and we didn't establish the Salat yet, the pillar of Islam. People in this room, there are people who didn't pray Salatul Fajr today, or yesterday, or the day before. And I'm not here to judge you. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to cause all of us to be the people of Salatul Fajr. But the Salat is the foundation. The Zakat is the foundation. The Tawheed is the most important foundation. The Khilafah, that's the structure. But we didn't get the foundation right. From the sunnahs of Allah Azza wa Jal, as you do, it will be done unto you. That statement, what goes around comes around, that's a true statement. As you do, it will be done unto you. The point is, Ikhwani, in regards to this issue, from the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jal is, birds of a feather flock together. You're not going to see a bunch of geese flying and amongst them is a hawk. You're not going to see cows in the pastures around here and the one horse is just hanging out in the middle of the cows. The horses are going to be over there and the cows over there and the sheep over there, because birds of a feather flock together. So the people who are religious will usually be with people who are religious. And people who are not practicing will usually be with people who are practicing. The person will be on the religion of his friend, so that each and every one pay attention to who he takes as his friend. And what was collected by Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ told us in emphasizing this point, al-arwah junudun mujannada ma ta'arafa minha talafa wa ma tanakara minha ikhtalafa. The souls of all of the people, they're like trained soldiers. They're trained already. They're those souls that they come together, they mesh and they harmonize. And then there are those souls that when they come together, they repel. This individual is smoking crack, marijuana, partying. You're not going to see a person who spends his time in the masjid, going to the masjid 3 times, 4 times, whatever he can do. You're not going to see him being with those individuals like that. So Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, Ikhwani, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. Verily, those people who believe and they do righteous deeds, Allah is going to put between them love. So the point here is, if you're an individual who's trying to practice the religion, but you find that you are repelled and you don't like spending time with the people of Al-Islam, your friends, your associates are the people who are non-Muslims. They're the people who are against the religion. They're the people who are opposed to the religion. I saw on the program today, I think it's called Hard Talk, something like that. The Muslim man is the one who is bullying the Muslim girl about the burqa and the niqab. It's not the non-Muslims. The non-Muslims have their opinion. But it's the Muslim man who's bullying her and he wants to jump on her. He's the one who the decibels in his voice are raising up and he has the problem. Just express yourself, your point of view, and that's it. But he was upset. Why? Birds of a feather flock together. So consider who your friends are. Allah Ta'ala gave us a command in the Quran, again showing us the importance of this issue. He mentioned in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullah wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. Oh, you believe, fear Allah, have the taqwa of Allah, and be with those people who are truthful, the people of as-sidq. These two issues have been commanded in the same ayah. First part of the ayah told us to have taqwa of Allah and to be with those who are truthful. There's a connection. The connection is that the truthful people will help you to fear Allah Azza wa Jal. The friend who has a sidq, he is sadiq with Allah. He's truthful with Allah. He believes in Allah, believes in the Quran, believes in the Sunnah. He believes in Yawm al-Qiyamah. He believes in the virtues of Al-Islam. He believes in the importance of nasiha. He believes in the importance of not backbiting you when you're not around. He's going to help you to have the taqwa of Allah. So Allah Ta'ala commanded in this ayah with taking good people and taking those people who have a taqwa as your friends so that they can help you in worshiping Allah. If the person is not truthful with Allah, he's not sadiq with Allah, he's not going to be truthful with you. He's not going to be truthful with you. If he has sidq and he believed in Allah, he wouldn't fear anything except Allah. He wouldn't fear anyone except Allah. He wouldn't fear the fact that you may become upset with him when he tells you something that you need to know. Obviously, he'll take into consideration. He has to say it in a way that will make you more apt to embrace his advice. But the ultimate issue with him is doing his duty unto Allah first and foremost, and then giving you your rights. Allah Ta'ala commanded his prophet with the same thing, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the importance of being with people of the religion and taking into consideration and taking stock of who your companions are. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was giving dawah to the non-Muslims of Al-Medina, and they were the people of nobility, and there were some weak, downtrodden Muslims. There was Bilal, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, some of the people from the fuqara. The Prophet was with them. Those people who had money in Medina, they came and said, Ya Muhammad, we want to listen to what you have to say. We want to listen to your call, your da'wah. We'll give you a chance to talk to us. But we just want you to get these people away from us. They can't sit with us. These dirty, stinking, downtrodden people, they can't come in the majlis. Just us. We don't want them close to us. Rasulullah considered it. He considered it. He considered it how? He considered it as a proposition. I know that these companions, they know the importance of these people becoming Muslims, and they know I would never turn away from them by making them feel that they're second-class citizens. They know that I would want to talk to these people to get them to become Muslims and thus empower al-Islam. He knew that his companions would understand the situation. That's how he considered it. He didn't consider it, yes, the speech and the description that they gave about them is true. Not like that. Allah Ta'ala told him in the Quran, وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ وَلَا تَعْدُ عَيْنَاكَ عَنْهُمْ تُرِيدُ زِينَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. He said, Ya Muhammad, be patient and have sabr. Make yourself patient with these people who are around you. Those people who call on Allah in the morning time and in the evening time. And don't let your eyes turn away from them, wanting the hayat of the dunya. Be with the people and be patient with the people who, they give you problems. You're going to get problems from people who practice the religion. You go to the masjid, you're going to have problems. There are people in the masjid who may take your shoes. There are people in the masjid who, because of their age, they don't know how to act because of where they come from. When those things happen to you, you can't go to the extreme and say, I'm done with the people of the masjid. I'm finished with the people who are practicing. Oh, the burqa, that's Wahhabi, Saudi Arabian Wahhabism. There are people who are Deobandi who also hate the word Wahhabi, who their wives, their daughters, their aunties wear the burqa. You're just so mad with the Muslims that you're crazy over the issue. Don't be of those people. You see someone, he does something that you don't like, you become a person who goes overboard. I'm finished with the people of Islam. The Muslims are backwards. The Muslims always start late. They always start late. It's just a characteristic within us, our culture. Let's be patient with the Muslims. That's the lesson that we get from that ayat and that incident with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions. May Allah Azza wa Jal be pleased with all of them. Ikhwani, from what we have in our religion that shows the importance of evaluating your friends is a tremendous hadith from the Jawami' al-Kalim. His ability to say something with a few words, but it has far-reaching implications. He told us sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, لا تصاحب إلا مؤمنا ولا يأكل طعامك إلا تقي. Do not be a companion and do not take as a companion anyone except a mu'min, and do not allow anyone to eat your food except a person who has taqwa. So here's a clear hadith where he told us sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in getting to know Allah and your deen and navigating through this hayat ad-dunya on the trip to the hereafter, do not take as a companion anyone except he's a mu'min. You can have associates, you can have constituents, you can have colleagues at work and school and other than that. But a sahib, like Rasulullah has sahaba, companions. Don't take a companion except a person of iman, a mu'min. And don't allow anyone to eat your food except a person of taqwa. Some people read this hadith, they heard that hadith and they misunderstand it. They think the ayah or the hadith doesn't allow them to share their food with non-Muslims. And that's not true. It's not true. From the best forms of dawah is giving non-Muslims food. The Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, utilized this method of dawah when he invited the people and he called them to La ilaha illallah. And then that's when his uncle became upset, Abu Lahab, and he said, is this what you gathered us for? They ate the food, and then after eating the food, he gave them dawah to Allah, to La ilaha illallah. Then he said, may your hands perish, Ya Muhammad. But he gave them food, and they were non-Muslims. You can give a non-Muslim food. It's from the best forms of dawah. Your neighbor sending him food. He had a baby, he didn't have a baby, Ramadan, outside of Ramadan, send him food. It's from the neighborly rights. Allah Ta'ala described some believers in the Quran, and He praised them for some of the characteristics that they had. And one of the characteristics that they had is that they give food to the people, as He mentioned in the Quran, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. Allah praised these people because they feed people food, although they themselves like and love the food. They give food to the one who is miskin. They give food to the one who is an orphan. It could be a Muslim or non-Muslim. They give food to the captive, the asir. Usually the captive is going to be a non-Muslim. It's not permissible for a Muslim to have another Muslim as a captive. It's not permissible. Even if he's in prison, he's not an asir, a captive. He's a prisoner. And even in that case, you still have to feed him. So the ayat shows it's permissible to give non-Muslims food. They can get from the zakat if their hearts are inclined to al-Islam. And from the zakat, there are foodstuffs that are from zakat. Non-Muslims can be fed. The meaning of the hadith: don't take as a companion anyone but a mu'min, and don't feed anyone your food except a person of taqwa. The meaning of that is, usually when you give someone food, he's going to come to your house. Usually. And there's a level of intimacy involved in a person coming to your house. There's a level of trust. So when he comes to your house, if he's not a person of taqwa, you may fall into riyah. And riyah is showing off. You have to cook and prepare things for him just to show off. And you don't do it for Allah. You cook more than you would normally cook. You spend the money and you go overboard to show off, and your niyyah is not for Allah. But the one who has taqwa, or you perceive him as having taqwa, you know, you could just give him some toast and that's it. There's no problems, no questions asked. That's it. No showing off. Another meaning of that is, the one who has taqwa, when he comes to your house, if he sees in your house part of your aura, the aura is that thing that shouldn't be shown, it shouldn't be exposed, your privates. He sees something going on in the house. The man's wife is a tough girl. She's from the frontiers of Pakistan or Afghanistan. Not everyone from that area is tough. This is just an example. She's from the desert somewhere. So he's in the house with his friends, his companions, the ones who have taqwa. And they can hear the woman screaming at him, being aggressive. She showed a bad level of disrespect and the behavior towards her husband. They have their wives in check. When he saw that in his house, he doesn't go out of the house and start telling people, you know, so-and-so's wife, she's really like a Bedouin. She's from the desert. She screams at him. She deals with him. He'll keep that between him and his friend. That's it. If anything, he'll advise his friend. If anything, he'll support his friend because he has taqwa. The one without taqwa, he'll go out of the house and he'll spread what he saw inside of your house of your aura. He saw a DVD. Your baby came into the living room with a DVD. And it's the DVD that's haram. He doesn't ask questions. Maybe another relative left it there. Maybe he found it in the front of his house and he brought it in his house to destroy it. Maybe the DVD has been taped over. The one without taqwa won't give him the benefit of the doubt. He'll go out and say, that man watches this and that. Don't let anyone eat your food except the person who has taqwa. Another problem is, the one who doesn't have taqwa comes into your house and he brings problems inside of your house. She brings problems inside of your house. She's your wife's friend who has no taqwa. So she's making tahyij. She's agitating your wife against you. He makes you do that. He won't buy you this. He did what? You can't do this. What do you mean you have to ask your husband, can you go? What do you? Or she brings other issues from the outside, like our relatives, what they do. Bring their problems inside of our homes. That's the meaning of the hadith. The point is, do not take as a companion anyone except that he's a mu'min. Don't take non-Muslim as your ashab. We have non-Muslims who are here, I believe. And we may even have some Muslims who are the ears for non-Muslims. I don't know. I'm not paranoid, but that's reality. I don't want anyone thinking that I'm saying here, Al-Islam says that we are not people who buy into multiculturalism and we can't coexist with non-Muslims. That's not our religion. We exist with non-Muslims. The issue here is birds of a feather flock together. How are you going to take as your bosom buddy the one who a good time to him is drinking khamr, downing 8 or 9 or 10 pints, and then having antisocial behavior after that? It doesn't mesh, it doesn't mix. Both of the lives are counterproductive and they're opposed to one another. From what we find in the Quran and in the authentic Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this regard, ikhwani, is what the Prophet described in his eloquence and what was collected by Imam al-Bukhari, a Muslim. And this is the balagha and the eloquence of our Nabi and our Rasul salawatullahi wassalamu alayhi, where he used to give people pictures and images that they can understand, comprehend, and appreciate. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, مثل جليس الصالح وجليس السوء كحامل المسك ونافخ الكير. فحامل المسك إما أن يحذيك وإما أن تبتاع منه وإما أن تجد منه ريحا طيبة. ونافخ الكير إما أن يحرق ثيابك وإما أن تجد منه ريحا خبيثة. Eloquence. The young brothers who are here, they may not be able to identify with what the Malvi Sahib is saying in the masjid because he's not speaking their language. You as a parent, if you connected yourself to the examples and the similitudes of the Quran and the stories of the Quran, and you sat down and took the time out to share and to explain these stories with your children and your family, the eloquence of the Quran, the eloquence of the Sunnah, like this hadith, can help them to appreciate the teachings of our religion. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the example and the similitude of the sitting that you have with a person who is religious, salih, and the sitting of the person who you sit with who is irreligious, no deen. We know the shabab from our community who drive nice cars or they don't drive nice cars. They drive around with the music, they chase the girls, they get high, they're party animals, they're criminals, they're thugs. Some of us have relatives like that. They're an embarrassment. They are an embarrassment. We hope that they don't come around when we have guests, Muslims or non-Muslims, because they are embarrassments to us. They don't know how to respect their parents or other people. The example of sitting with those people and sitting with the people who are righteous or religious, he said, is like the example of sitting with a person who sells perfumes, oils, and sitting with the person who is a blacksmith. As for sitting with the one who sells oils, 3 things will happen. One of 3 things. One thing is that maybe as a gift, because this is his business and you're his friend, he just gives it to you as a gift. A brother gave me some oud, a smell that I like. He just gave it to me. It's expensive. So he'll just give it to you as a gift. Here's a gift. And you have that nice smell, benefit. Second thing that may happen is, that's his business. He can't keep giving things away. You may buy from him. You may purchase from him that which you like and that which will benefit you. And he'll even give you a discount maybe. So you got benefit. He sold it to you. Or number 3, he doesn't give you anything. You didn't buy it from him. But because you're sitting in his shop, you'll smell like the perfume and you'll go away smelling good. The point here is, nothing but good is going to happen. Nothing but good. Because he's a person of the deen. He's a friend of taqwa. You're going to benefit. He's going to remind you. You lose a child, it's a tough situation. People of a taqwa will remind you. That child belonged to Allah. This happened to people who were better than you. Be patient. It's a test. The Prophet said about this, such and such and such a thing. Your child that you lost will make intercession for you Yawmul Qiyamah. The people on the other side will say, you know, they're thinking about, you know, selling David Beckham and the price of his contract is going to be this and this. What do you think? The man is grieving about his child and you're talking to me about David Beckham's contract. He's about to die. When the person is going to die, it's the religious people who should come to tell him to say La ilaha illallah. Because the irreligious people will come and they'll say, you know, David Beckham, he has a new perfume out. What do you think about that? And he's about to die. He doesn't want to hear that. That's not what he needs to be hearing at that time. On the other hand, the irreligious friend, two things happen. Number one, he'll burn your clothes because he's the blacksmith. And the sparks from the anvil, from the horseshoe is going to land on you. You sit with a person who smokes cigarettes, you're going to smell like cigarettes. May Allah help the lady who her husband smokes. She has to kiss that man. May Allah help the lady who her husband smokes. And you look at the ceiling, they have to keep painting the wall because it's become black with soot. The car stinks like an ashtray, and other than that. He smokes marijuana and the sparks fly on you and you get those holes from the seeds in the marijuana and the weed. Second thing that'll happen with the evil person is he may not burn your clothes, but you'll walk away smelling like the smoke. You'll take away from that majlis problems. Ayat, a hadith, circumstances with the righteous predecessors from this ummah, showing us again, ikhwani, the importance of evaluating, taking the time out to religiously consider who your friend is. You got stabbed in the back, your money got stolen, your life has been affected adversely as a result of your relationship with someone. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran about people who in this case, لا يلومن إلا نفسه. Let him not blame anyone but himself. You didn't do your math. Lastly, from what I want to share with you is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from his Jawami' al-Kalim. And Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala put this hadith in his book 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, and all of those hadith that are authentic in that book. And Imam al-Nawawi just didn't put those hadith in there haphazardly. He wanted to gather up the hadith of the Jawami' al-Kalim, those hadith that clearly they're short, they have far-reaching meanings and implications. One of those hadith is a statement sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib or abid as-sabil. Be in this dunya, live in this dunya as if you are a stranger or as if you are a traveler. That's from his Jawami' al-Kalim. Be in the dunya, live in this dunya as if you are a stranger or if you are a traveler. What's the meaning of that? And what's the connection to that and choosing a friend? This is the prophetic advice of the Nabi of al-Islam sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. In al-Islam, as you know, a person who is a traveler or a stranger, he's not going to, he's on a trip, he has a goal, he has an objective. He wants to go back to his country. This is not where he lives. He wants to go back to where he lives. He has to do a number of things. He has to make sure that he finds the correct route, the path to his way. He has to do that. He doesn't want to get lost. Can't just take a trip. He doesn't know where he's going. He has to know the direction. On his trip, he has to avoid all of the pitfalls that are causing him to become distracted, and he goes off of the beaten path. That's what he has to do. He has to be aware of the signposts that guide him to where he's going on his trip of this dunya. He has to. One of the important things, he has to bring along with him his zad, his provisions. Can't just take a trip. He has no petrol, no money to eat. Can't do that. He has to take along with him his preparations. A lot of things he has to do, traveling in Islam. One of the main things he has to do is he has to take friends along with him on the trip. It's not even permissible in Islam to travel and you're by yourself. The Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Ar-rakib shaitan, wa-rakiban shaitanan, wa-thalatha rakbun." A person who travels by himself is one shaitan. 2 people traveling together, 2 shaitans. 3, that's the trip, that's the journey. So when he goes on his trip and he takes his companions, he's going to travel with people who are going to be helpers along the way, not impediments, not barriers and obstacles. It's not going to take people who they don't listen to the Amir. It's not going to consciously choose a companion in the trip who's a problem. So what's the trip, Ikhwani? The real trip is the trip that we've been created for, and that's the trip to get back to Allah. On the trip, to get to his destination, he needs someone who's going to help him drive. 18 hours. He does a third, the other one do a third, the next one do a third, he does half, whatever. But he's not going to do it by himself. That hadith, Ikhwani, directly, indirectly, is effectively encouraging us. Anyone who has traveled and he knows the etiquettes of traveling in Islam, that hadith tells us, pay attention to who you take as companions on the ultimate journey to Allah Azza wa Jal. You're backing up the car, and the guy in the car with you, your friend, you say to him, I can't see. Tell me, should I keep going back? He says, yes, come back, come back, come back. We came here from Bradford. We were late. We were on a Muslim time, and the brother was driving fast, and he was reading from the TomTom thing. He had a TomTom. He had an iPod directions, and he's talking to us, and he's looking around. One of the brothers in the back said, hey, even if we're going to be late, what was written is written. If we're late, there's going to be some blessings in being late. Take it easy. That's the friend. The friend will say to you, we're on a journey, slow down, pump your brakes. You're headed towards a collision. That's not a good investment. That's not a good idea. So all of those, Ikhwani, are examples from the Kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the authentic sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam telling us, you came here with your companions today. Some of you, I saw you were sitting by yourselves. Usually, we are people who are sociable people. We're people who are sociable people. Most of us have friends. 1, 2, 3, we have companions. You have to take the time out to evaluate who your companions are. Do they fit the criterion? And if you have people who don't advise you, and you have people who help you to forget about Allah, you're going to be one of those people, Wallahu A'lam, who were mentioned in the Quran in the beginning of our talk. يوم يقول يوم يعض الظالم على يديه يقول ربي يقول يا ليتني اتخذت مع الرسول سبيلا يا ويلتى ليتني لم اتخذ فلانا خليلا. On that day, the zalim, the oppressor, he will bite on his hands and he will be alone. He can bite on his hands all that he wants out of sorrow. He's biting on his hands and he'll say, oh, how I wish I would have taken the path of the Rasul. I would have taken his path and paying attention to the sunnah of who my friend is. Oh, woe was unto me that I took so-and-so as my Khalil, my friend. He has guided me away from the remembrance and he caused me to forget it. And verily, shaitan is forever an individual who will forsake the person. When he needs him in the time of need, he's not going to be there. That could be the shaitan, iblis, or that can be the friend that you took as a companion who, in the time of need, he wasn't a true friend. And that cliche holds true, Ikhwani, that people say, with friends like you or a friend like you, who needs an enemy? With a friend like you, who needs enemies? That's our reality, some people. So take the time out, consider this issue. It's an issue of ibadah. Is what you've been commanded to do. What I prohibited you from doing, leave it all alone. And what I commanded you to do as much of it as you possibly can do. And this is one of those things that you've been commanded to do. And not doing it, failing to do it, and neglecting it is going to hurt you sooner or later. And in most instances, it's going to hurt you sooner. May Allah Ta'ala make us all good friends to one another, and may He rectify those people who we have taken as friends and rectify us as well as friends, and may cause all of us to escape being the recipients of His adhab yawmul qiyamah. Hadha وصلى الله وسلم على النبيين وعلى آله وأصحابه